have to go through with this. You don't have to go through with this. I don't have to go through with this. We're already far past that, Tony.
Too much has happened. And we have to do this. This has to happen. And I know the L-I-M means for me.
Well, it means way more to me. The following podcast has been recorded by the LIM.
From taverns across Chicagoland to St. Joe's Park in Joliet to the world of podcasting, they're upholding the good name of Chet Gunderson and letting the old styles flow. They are the Lovely Intoxicated Men. And this is the Lovely Intoxicated Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, potty sniffers and mouth breathers, children of all ages, the LIM proudly brings to you another episode of the Lovely Intoxicated Podcast. I am your host and the top fan and your LIM beer drinking champion, PX. Joining me as well is the self-proclaimed leader of the LIM, even though he's not, Tony Gabagool. What a joke. What a joke, folks. And we also have a man who has two J's in his name, which is fairly common in North America, Double J. And we also have here not a man who's a two-sport athlete. Not only is he the son, but he's also the heir. I stole that joke. You're welcome. Top fan steal jokes from before we go on air. Maximus Orion.
I think we just got our answer right there. Top fans break one of the 10 commandments on a regular basis. They steal.
I didn't. I gave Danny his wallet back.
But no, you just said you stole the joke. So it 4K or 720p, whatever we're recording in.
I'll go to church tomorrow. How's that? I'll go to confession. It's been a while. But neither here nor there. I have been asked by Rocket Pro Wrestling Management to create a fan guide to guide the fans, if you will, with their Nova Award votes. So we're coming on tonight to talk about that stuff. And because I'm such a good top fan who wants to do Rocket Pro Wrestling proud, I'm willing to put my differences aside with Tony Gabagool, even though he sucks, and Double J, even though he enables his bad choices, and Maximus Orion, because even though I don't like his hair.
Okay, neither do I, so that's valid.
Okay. I'm glad. See, we were all on the same page.
Oh, and about my hair, we're being terrible, yeah.
I mean, you do have more hair than Tony, to be honest. All right, that's enough pot shots for tonight, because we got to talk about these awards and explain to the people what they're voting for, who they're voting for, give them reasons why they might want to consider certain candidates, and we're going to let people know how they can vote. Because this is America and we have democratic processes, and we are proud to help Rocket Pro in promoting the democratic process that is the Novas. So let's break down some awards, shall we? We're going to start off with the breakout star of the season. We have several worthy nominees here. We have Maya Karas, Paulie Tomaselli, Shaq Jordan, Jesus Desafio, Johnny Nye, LIM's very own Johnny Nye, as well as Joseph Von Jaeger. You could really make a case for any of these guys. You got Maya Karas, came in at the very end of the season and stole the show in her match with Devin. We have Paulie Tomaselli, Shaq Jordan, who really made his impact felt. You have Jesus DeSafio, who spent a majority of the year chasing the Intercounty Championship. We have Johnny Nye, who turned to the light and started hanging out with the fans, became a member of the LIM, for instance. And we have Joseph Von Jaeger. Von Jaeger became the Intercounty Champion and held it throughout the rest of the season. Now, guys, let's talk about Shaq Jordan a little bit. Yes, we talk a lot on here about him kicking down the lights, but he's much more than the guy that kicked down the lights at St. Joe's Park. He's the generational treasure. He's a guy who went after the undeniable all throughout the year, and now he seems to have some issues with Gunnar Brave. I mean, wouldn't you say that he had a breakout season? He really made his impact felt.
He did, but he ruined it for himself right at the end. He kept the title in the hands of the undeniable. You want to start issues with Gunnar Brave? Fine. Help him win the title and attack him after the match by hitting him in the balls or something. Do something else. You kept the title in the hands of... You had 3 people not in the undeniable that could have won that match. Koa, Stone, Gunnar. It was literally stacked against them. And he had to just interfere and cost Gunnar that match. Because he cost those 3 men that match, not just Gunnar. He cost those 3 people that match.
Tony, what say you on Shaq Jordan's chances here?
I think that we're pretty strong, but again, to kind of echo Maximus, you go to the highest of the mountains and you end on such a low note. I think we need to spend a little more time looking at a guy like Johnny Nye, rock star of the realm. Not to be biased because he's LIM, but hey, he broke out. He broke through the dark side to the light side.
Double J, your thoughts on this category? Shaq Jordan, Maya Karas. I mean, you were in the crowd with Maya, and when Maya made her debut, I should say. And I mean, the crowd, I heard it from the back as I was preparing for interviews.
Yeah, the pop.
Very loud reaction.
Yeah, the pop the pop was definitely insane. She came out and she dominated in that match. She was both entertaining and proved that she is a great wrestler. Not a lot of people can do both in their debut match, let alone consecutive as they show up at different places. Both entertainment and wrestling. You love to see it. You really do.
That is true. And what a great place for both wrestling and entertainment at Rocket Pro Wrestling.
That is the place to be.
We also have the most hated star of the season. Mm-hmm. And guys, let me just, mention this. The Idols have a good chance of winning because 3 out of the 4 of them were nominated. Joey, Damian, and Kevin Cade, all nominated in this category. But the Undeniable also got a little love too in the most hated category because we had Damian Saint, Mr. General Manager guy himself, who got nominated for this category, which I know to a lot of Rocket Pro fans, I don't know if I necessarily agree, but, Firing Turtle really ruffled a lot of feathers, which is weird because I don't even think turtles have feathers. But there's also Professor Blackburn. And
that guy.
Yeah, he's
Professor Heartburn, because that's what I get whenever I see him.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna use an old PX phrase here a second. Treat top fans sometimes break
I
out the
finally
classic.
stopped thinking that when I went to get stuff from 84 Lumber. And thank you.
Give me
Now it's
some-
going to be back in my head when I go back tomorrow. Thanks.
What
Give
can
me
I
some
say except
Don't leave me hanging.
you're welcome?
Why stop. Just keep going.
But let's
Moving
talk
right
about
along.
let's talk about the idols a second.
Let's not and say we did.
No. We got to talk about them because I know that there has been some things said recently on a certain podcast said by Damian Gray that ruffled a lot of feathers of us here in the LIM, which I think, guys, we're going to have to talk about that later on this week. How's that?
Okay.
But
Sure,
let's
I mean-
Friday.
but let's talk about that this season.
Okay.
They went after the LIM. They went after me. They ended our dad's career. I mean, they won back their titles from Steve and Shelley,
Because of Blackburn.
mainly because of Blackburn. That's why he's on this list. That's why he's a nominee as well.
You could be on the list without doing that.
That treated, double treated, 2X combo, baby. So there's that category.
You know what? Real quick, how I'm going to vote in that one? I'm going to do a write-in for Roxy Hart. Okay? Because we need more representation from the idols. All right?
We don't have enough representation in this category.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely don't have enough.
Oscar's so idle, or Nova's so idle, hashtag, start it.
Keep the
I'll write
idol's
that
name out your mouth.
But you know what, real quickly, before we switch, we got to talk even more about Damian Saint because we also have
Cool.
all the planning that he did to get the title off of Aaron Stone, try to pit Maximus against Aaron, and we all know they are friends.
Yeah, that wasn't going to work.
Kept going after anybody that tried to interfere and defend Mr. Stone, including Shaq Jordan. So he's ruffled a lot of feathers. He is the sole general manager of Rocket Pro Wrestling. And not one very much beloved by fans or members of his own locker room. So there's that. And then we have the feud of the season because we have Mr. Maximus Orion and the Ryan Matthews nominated. Another LIM nomination there. We also have Rion Skills and Joseph Von Jaeger for mainly feuding over the Inter-County Championship. The VHS Express feuded with the Idols. That feud continued this year. And we also had Damian Saint versus the Amazing Turtle on account of the whole general manager firing and all of that, all of the things, including having Damian Saint fire Turtle and having Turtle reinstated for him to be the co-general manager of Rocket Pro Wrestling, and the communication issues that led to the match in May, where both men put their general managership on the line. We have also Jesus Desafio and Joseph Von Jaeger over the Inter-County Championship again, and Youth Gone Wild versus the Final Lover over those tag team titles. So a lot of titles involved in a lot of these nominees for Feud of the Year. I mean, I must say, I think out of all of these, the one that I think one that really sticks out is the feud that Maximus had with the Ryan Matthews. Because in that very room you're sitting in, sir, Ryan jumped you because he sucked at Fortnite and he was very, very upset about it. I screamed in a car. Memes were made. Neither here nor there, but memes were made. There were, battle balls involved. There were wild cards involved. There was Mos Eisley involved.
Black Knight was involved.
The Black Knight was involved. It was very entertaining, I must say. And, a lot of the fans got behind Maximus. And Maximus did win. I will give you credit where credit is due, sir. You did win that match. Even with our issues, I can't not acknowledge that. That's for Rian. Shout out to Rian. Speaking of Rion's also nominated for Feud of the Year with Joseph Von Jaeger, trying to teach the young guys a lesson. But Joseph Von Jaeger came out on top, became the Intercounty Championship, or he didn't become the Intercounty Championship. That's hard to become. Anyway, he became the champion and held that belt through the rest of the season, even outlasting his old friend, Jesus DeSafio, who also got nominated for Feud of the Year. Gentlemen, your thoughts on these feuds?
I'll let you guys go first, and I'll plead my case last.
I think the feud of the year for this one is DeSafio and Von Jaeger. That betrayal that DeSafio, when he turned against him, was very shocking. I personally, did not see that coming, and you could just feel the animosity, especially in their match at Kicks on 66. That was hard hitting from bell to bell, and they beat the snot out of each other, with Von Jaeger coming out on top, and DeSafio just has that chip on his shoulder. And I believe this feud is far from over, and I'm curious to see what's going to happen next.
Tony, by God, Gabagool.
Say it 3 times, all right? You don't have to. All right, here's my thing. And I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here, Maximus, but listen. I think you and the Hairless Cat had the best feud of the year because it was overarching. It built throughout the season. And then finally, it came to a beautiful, cinematic, entertaining, well-executed wrestling match at the end of the season. We were all standing on our feet. I'd have to give it to you, my friend. And the Hairless Cat, unfortunately, he's involved.
He's very good at getting his butt kicked.
Yeah, it was very it was more entertainment though, right? So
I got my money's worth, that's for damn sure.
So here's the case I'm going to plead. I think I've been nominated. I don't count the Jimmy Kimmel chant as my nomination because it's not. Really, that's on Kevin, on Nuke. So, because he's the one that sent that text. But
that is true.
So the only thing, because I know I was nominated for Star of the Season, which I really don't think I deserve that one. So the only reason I'm going to plead my case on this one is because every single other one of those, I believe you just said a PX, something was at stake, whether it was a general managership or a title, something was at stake in one of those other feuds. There was a reason those guys were fighting. Not all of them were completely personal. So personal, like you brought up, that any of them got attacked in their bedroom, on their video game live stream, anywhere else. It all happened in that building. Mine and Ryan's feud happened in and out of that building, offline, online, everywhere. None of those feuds, all those feuds started with just bad blood in that ring. Our feud started from a video game. That's really not heard of, that a rivalry is started. That would be like AJ Styles and Seth Rollins starting a feud because Rollins beat him in 2K, whatever it was, on Xavier Woods' gaming show. They don't do that. Our feud started from that. There was gaming characters brought to life at the show for our feud. They came in from the game out of nowhere and made this more interesting. Black Knight was involved, Wildcard was involved. And like Gabagool said, it went all season. That was September through May. None of the other ones were September through May. It was me and Ryan trying to rip each other's heads off from September all the way through May. And I can probably tell you it's still probably not over because I still hate him and he still hates me. So that's the only thing I'm saying about it. People can vote for whoever they want. I rest my case.
All right. Now that the case has been rested, let's talk about some really, really funny moments. We like laughs here. We like comedy here in the LIM. And we've been nominated for a couple awards here because we have the Jimmy Kimmel chant, which technically was started by Rocket Pro Wrestling's very own Kevin Palmer, sending a text to us as a rib to tell us that we need to chant that. So we had to pranked Maximus and Stone. Now, you know what? Explain this backstory, because I don't think a lot of our listeners have,
All right, so
have heard
I can
this.
do it real quick. There's a TikTok video on my Sling Blade account on it's very far down there. And it was chapter 2, season 8 of Fortnite, and I was trying to explain the new robot thing in the game, the mechs. If you play Fortnite before, you know what the mech is. Everybody hates it, right? So I was trying to explain it. As I'm trying to explain it, one of my friends I played with back then was constantly going, Jimmy Kimmel. And I just cutting me off. I'm trying to talk over him. Jimmy Kimmel, the Jimmy Kimmel show. Will, you know that show? I'm like, what show? What do you want? What? And he's like, Jimmy Kimmel, you know that show, the Jimmy Kimmel show? And I'm like, yeah, I know that show. What does that have to do with anything? And he was like, Jimmy Kimmel. And I just kept talking, and he would just keep interrupting me. And then you would hear, Jimmy Kimmel, the whole video. So that is Aaron Stone's favorite of all of my TikToks. I've got like 50, 60 of them. That's his favorite. And a year and a half ago, he just walked in and started saying Jimmy Kimmel to me, and I would say it back to him. Then it became a contest of which person can say Jimmy Kimmel to the other one more at one RPW show every month. And you have to leave. If somebody says Jimmy Kimmel, one of you has to leave the room and come back before the next person can say it. You can't say it while you're in the same room. If he walks over there and comes back, he can't say it. You have to exit the room and come back in, and then you can say it. So far, I think we're either tied or he's actually winning. So
you got to exit the room, and then
so if I was standing in the ring or ringside, and he went to the back and walked into that back locker room that's back there and then came back out, we passed each other again, we could say it again. And whoever says it first, that's another point. And whoever has the most Jimmy Kimmels by the end, that's who wins for that month.
Watch this. Hey, PX.
Hey, MeX.
PX. Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, shit. I
got something important to do. We'll see.
He's got to leave the room.
Hey, Gabagool.
Oh. So now he's going to leave the room and come back and say it again?
He did technically leave the room.
What happened? I guess, okay. Anyway, we also have the crappy landlord chant at spring break. We have Skylar Reed being chased by Michael Myers at Darkness Falls. We have Maya Cars being Devin August at Kicks on 66. Boba Fett throwing the thermal detonator into the ring at Kicks on 66 during the triple threat tag team match. And the fans forgetting how to do the wave with Rion at Kicks on 66. But to be fair to the fans, the mouth breathers and the potty sniffers out there, it was the first time since Rion Skills Appreciation Night that a Rion Skills wave was done. So muscle memory kind of goes away. So in all fairness to them, and then we have the crappy landlord chant. So crappy landlord was what Mr. Amazing Turtle called Mr. Damien Saint. And the crowd picked up on it, started the crappy landlord chant. We have, the ongoing, I don't even want to say it's a frenemy shit, because it really isn't, between Skylar Reed and Michael Myers. That's been going on for a while.
Bro's got an issue. It used to be my problem, and then I pawned him off.
Right. And I mean, it's like, I know Michael Myers is from the Great White North, as well as Skylar Reed. Is it because, what I have to wonder, is it because Skylar Reed is not a big fan of the movie The Love Guru? I mean, that movie was not great. It was no Austin Powers, I'll tell you that much. It was no Wayne's World. But, like, to go after a man with the knife, that seems a bit, too much.
All I'm going to tell you, I'll give Skylar Reed a little bit of advice here, because one year, Michael Myers, I'm fighting him. And the next year, well, after COVID, that next Darkness Falls, he ended up being my tag team partner. So I'm just going to tell Skylar this. You team with the dude, he moves on to somebody else. Okay? I'm telling you, contact him through a spiritually something. Go talk to Jamie Lee Curtis. I don't know. You team with the guy, he's off your ass and on to somebody else. So,
and now we're going to transition into talking about the start of the season. But before we do that, I do have to let a special guest into this room. And it is one of the nominees for Superstar of the Year. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, it is simply undeniable that the Rocket Pro Wrestling champion is here on the Lovely Intoxicated podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Michaels. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
So you are a nominee for Star of the Year.
As I should be.
Why should fans vote for you for this?
I mean, if there's any question in anyone's mind, look, the reality is I have, in the almost 5 months I have held this title, been the most dominant champion that RPW has ever seen. I have proven myself as the most dominant wrestler that RPW has ever seen, not just in the past year, but since I started in the company. I have run through everybody. You name them, I've beaten them. But more importantly, I've won this beautiful, beautiful title. And I have elevated this title more than anyone has done. That's a fact. Look, you can love me, you can hate me, and that's fine. But the reality is that in almost 5 months, I have had 5 title defenses in 3 separate companies, not just RPW, where I've defended my title twice. I have defended it twice now in Ileana Pro in Richton Park, Illinois. And most importantly, I have defended it and am recognized as RPW champion at US Pro Wrestling in Honolulu, Hawaii, where I am, and you can look this up, this is a verified fact, I am the first pro wrestler from Illinois to defend a Chicago area championship on the Hawaiian Islands. That's a fact. I am done more to elevate this belt than Aaron Stone or anyone else could ever dream of doing. And spoiler alert, I'm just getting started.
Let's talk a little bit about the names that you've beaten this year. You've beaten Darius Luttrell. You've
Yes.
beaten Lennox Leon. You've
Yes.
beaten Koa Laksamana.
Yes.
Aaron Stone.
It's the list of names.
You got Gunnar Brave. You got the Amazing Turtle, who you've defeated at Ileana Pro, as well as Quinn Woodcock, which you had defeated at the last Ileana Pro show.
Yeah.
So you've accomplished quite a lot. You've beaten 2 former Rocket Pro Wrestling champions in Stone, as well as Quinn Whittick.
I have, and the truth is these men, I give them their due. They're veterans in the business. They know what they're doing, and they were tough opponents. They took me to my limit, but they're no Steve Michaels.
Now, talking about this award as well, you have some stiff competition. You have Maximus Orion, who is sitting right here with us today. You got Aaron Stone, the man you beat for the Rocket Pro Wrestling Championship, Shaq Jordan. You also have Connor Hopkins and Gunnar Brave, all vying for this Nova Award. Last year, this award, and correct me if I'm wrong, this award was won by the Ryan Matthews. He was the inaugural Star of the Year, correct?
And rightfully so.
So when it comes to these men, when it comes to Maximus, when it comes to Shaq, to Stone, to Gunnar, what is your message for them as the fans are starting to vote for the Nova Awards?
Look, personally, I have nothing against them. I think they're all great competitors. I think they all have earned the right to be on this list. And I'm going to take nothing away from them. That being said, they have not reached the peaks that Steve Michaels has reached. Look, Aaron Stone, he had a good run. But when you look at his year, he still lost the RPW title. When you look at Gunner, sure, he won the Rocket to the Top, but he lost to Steve Michaels. You can go down that list. I've beaten everybody, or almost everybody. If fans will vote how they want, I know I'm not the most beloved person on the RPW roster, and that's fine. I'm not here to win friends. I'm here for this. I'm here for my title. And if they want to recognize what a true champion looks like, then they will vote for Steve Michaels, because I truly have become simply undeniable.
Now, Maximus, you're here with a fellow nominee in your Rocket Pro Wrestling champion, Steve Michaels. You've had your share of issues with the undeniable this season. Do you have a message for Steve as you both are going into this Nova Awards voting season?
As much as I would love to say that all of his success was brought to you by the undeniable helping him, I cannot say that. As an owner, as a wrestler, I cannot say that, because the undeniable was not present at IPW, either show. They were not present in Hawaii. They were not present in the singles matches he had leading up to the number one contenders match. And really, they were not the ones that helped him. They didn't help him win at Kicks on 66. I didn't see the undeniable themselves, get involved in any matches. You want to say Saint got involved? I guess you can say Saint got involved, but the undeniable never came out there, as much as it pains me to say it, and helped him, because he didn't need the help. I can't even. To me, I don't even think that I deserve to be on this list with the people that are on here. But again, as Steve said, the fans vote the way they want to, and we ask them for nominations, and these are the names that they gave us. If I'm going off of what happened during the year, nobody, including who is my best friend in Rocket Pro, Aaron Stone, nobody has had more success than the current RPW champion, Steve Michaels. There's no denying it. I can't deny it, especially as an owner. I cannot deny it. The amount of attention he has put on the championship, there's nothing I can say against it. You want me to talk against Ryan Matthews because he's a hairless cat? Fine. Schultz because he's a crappy lawyer? Fine. Saint because he's a slimy GM? All day long. I can't say anything against Steve. He's 100% correct in almost everything that he just said. So,
I Maximus, you and I, we've had our run-ins in the past year, and as I've said before, I have nothing but respect for you as a performer, as a wrestler. I have nothing but respect for you as an owner. Anything that happens in that ring, it's business. Because at the end of the day, this is all I have ever cared about. And you're right. I didn't have the undeniable with me at Ileana Pro. I didn't have the undeniable with me when I was in Hawaii at Oos. I didn't have the undeniable with me leading up to winning this title. And I've said it before, and I may hear from Damian Saint after this, but I've never truly needed the undeniable. They've always needed me more, and I've proved it. And not if, but when I win the Nova, I'm going to once again prove how undeniable truly we are.
Double J, you have 2 nominees here for the Nova Awards. What are your thoughts on their chances? What do you think of some of the other nominees that are up for the Star of the Year award?
Yeah, I think, I don't think I can say more than what Steve and Maximus has already said about them. I will say I do appreciate Steve, taking the time to be here, also being a fellow HyperX brand lover as I am as well. That's a respectable brand, so it's light edge over you right now, Maximus, I will say. But neither here nor there. Thinking of some of the other names on here, Shaq Jordan, what a breakout year he has had in the promotion, being in some very highly competitive matches, giving Bill Shelley a heart attack when he kicked the crap out of that light this year and just really stealing our hearts and then breaking them again when he betrayed Gunnar Brave, really keeping the conversation going with him. You look at Connor Hopkins remaining the Outer Limits champion this whole year with some great matches, especially that one he had with Dillinger. That was just a banger of a match, and everything going on with TDC that has happened, and he still managed to stay focused and stay a champion, as well as with Gunner, winning the rocket to the top and all the adversity he had to overcome this year to just remain chasing that title. All very commendable things. Aaron Stone taking on a lot of really top tier talent until he just couldn't beat the mountain of a man that is here with us today.
Twice.
Really
couldn't
twice.
beat the mountain of a man twice.
Some say you can never scale Everest twice. Some don't make it back down, and that's what happened. And everyone on here is deserving of this nomination, and it's just going to be a tight race between the fans to see who comes out on top.
All right, Maximus, Steve, before we move on to the final category or the rest of these categories here, wanted to get your final thoughts, your final pitches to the fans on why they should vote you as the Star of the Year at Rocket Pro Wrestling.
I'm gonna let Maximus go first.
Oh, I mean, the only argument I can give, because like I said, and I mean this, I'm going to say this, I might, both in ring and out, meaning Maximus Orion, the wrestler, and the owner, I don't feel that I should be in this category. There is plenty of other wrestlers that are above me, better than me in that ring, that deserve to be on this list. But the fans nominated me. I did not nominate myself. So since I'm on the list, all I can say is that if you like me that much, and I tend to be, and I know I'm really quoting Professor Blackburn here, I'm the favorite of the kids in the audience. The little kids all the way through high school. That's for some reason me and Stone are like their favorites. So if that's why I'm on the list, cool. It's definitely not because of my in-ring ability or who I've beaten, because I think I've won 2 matches, both against Ryan, one in a bumper ball and the kicks on 66. So if we're going by wins, I should not be on this list. But if you enjoyed the ass kicking I gave to Ryan and you enjoyed that feud, then if you want to vote for me, go for it. But I'm going to let him talk now, but I cannot even remotely touch what anyone else on this list, let alone the RPW champion Steve Michaels, has done. So I'm good. You may have the floor, sir.
It's nice to hear you humble for once. I've said it so many times on this podcast tonight. I have done things for RPW. I have done things to elevate this title that no one else has ever come close to doing. That's a fact. Steve Michaels is now simply undeniable for that reason. I am the face of RPW, whether the fans like it or not. And I'm going to be this face for a long time because I've proven already this title isn't going anywhere. And if you want to get on the train now, if you want to get on the Steve Michaels bandwagon, we got some room. get on because the ride is just beginning.
All right. Very good. Any final thoughts from you, Double J, on this category before we move forward?
None that has already been said before.
All right, very good. Well, Steve, thank you again for coming on and talking about this category. If you would like to stick around with us and talk about the rest of the awards, you are more than welcome to. But if you need to go, that is completely understandable. You are the champ, and I'm sure there's a lot of champ things that you may need to do.
There is. I've got a couple of upcoming matches that I need to be preparing for right now. But I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate that I have been shown the respect as champion to be invited onto your show. So thank you. And I'll see you in September.
Sounds great. Really quickly, though, before you go, you did say that you did have some matches that you had to be prepare for. Where can fans see you before the season premiere of Rocket Pro Wrestling?
Locally, you can see me every month at Ileana Pro. Just defended on Sunday against Quinn Whittick. Retained my title in a match that you were there for.
I was
an absolute classic, if I do say so myself. That's going to be coming up. More importantly, more recently, I'm going to be going back to Oos Wrestling. I will be bringing my RPW title to Oos once again on August 15th to represent this company and to represent the undeniable as only I can.
Very good. Well, Simply Undeniable, Steve Michaels, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
Pleasure's all ours. All right. So let's talk about some other awards. We just talked about the Star of the Year, but let's talk about some tag teams, playa. Holla, holla, holla. Okay, enough of that. I'm becoming
Who's facing the Undertaker?
I'm
tagging
me, 100% me. Pick
He just went
fucking me.
He totally went Arnold's Horseshack on that.
Sorry.
I never thought I would see the day Maximus exhibiting pick-me behavior. Thought he was above such things.
Sorry. Okay. You
All
brought
right.
up the Undertaker. I apologize. All right, back.
That's fair.
That's the same
We're
reaction I
professionals
have
here.
when we bring up Old Style, so I get it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Old Style! It's in my
Yeah.
shirt! Look at my shirt, Double J! It's like the beer we like.
Yeah, my shirt's in the dirty.
Moving right along.
That's okay. I'm just glad we're getting along finally again.
Just
For now.
Eat my big toe. Sorry. Anyway.
Okay, well, you just ruined the moment.
That's okay.
You mouth breather. The fabulous
tag
speaking
teams.
Speaking of mouth breathers, the Fabulous Idols are nominated for this award.
They can also eat my big toe.
Especially Damian Gray, right?
he did.
Yeah. He
After the
did.
very controversial things he said on Windy City Slam.
About you, he put me over, man. He was the only one who could keep up back
Because
then.
he's scared.
That's true. He's scared. He can't face this. I've got luscious locks, more better the hair than he does. Anyway, we're talking about tag teams. So we also got TDC nominated in this category.
Well, let's be honest. Grease and Damian Gray, not a great tag team. Just saying. More to come on that. Those damn Coyotes, who they were divided at the offset of the season, but overcame a lot of adversity to get back on the same page by the end of the season. You got the Kings of the Six. But Canada broke apart midway through the year, thanks to Damian Saint and the Undeniable. Pitting those two against each other. And those are like guys that go back all the way to basically the start of Rocket Pro Wrestling. My first show.
Kings of the Six was Kings of Six was born when Devin turned on Gunner in the Skylar Reed versus Gunner Brave street fight at Cupid's Carnage in 2020.
Yep, I remember that. That was around the time that I started going to Rocket Pro.
There you go.
I was in Arizona.
Nobody asked. Tag teams.
We also have, another tag team, Double J in Arizona. But also we have the final level, who were tag team champions for the whole season. Won them at the start from the Coyotes, then lost them at the very end, not by their own fault, but because the Idols interfered and cost them their titles. And
And let's
because
be clear here. The final level did not get pinned.
they did not get pinned.
Middle Age Gone Wild got pinned.
That they did, but they're also nominated for the award for Tag Team of the Year.
It's because they made an impact coming in. I want to say that was
They caused a lot of chaos.
They caused a lot of stuff, but when was that one where it was at the end of the show, they jumped the barricade and they were screaming at Marche.
I want to say
that was Resolution.
That was Resolution, yes. And then you have the new tag team champions at Rocket Pro, the Three Rings, who've won their first bit of gold in Joliet. And it's the first time they've won gold in Joliet since Pro Wrestling Blitz was running at St. Joe's Park.
Yep.
Now, you got guys like me who was there when Pro Wrestling Blitz was at its peak.
Me too.
And who was on top?
Three Rings.
At that point, the Three Rings.
And Marche Rocket.
And Marche. And all of those elements came into play in this match that they had in May. And the history between all these men definitely came into play. But as somebody who followed Pro Wrestling Blitz, the excitement was not just with me for having them back at St. Joe's Park. I think it wouldn't be controversial of me to say that the fans were very, very excited to see the Three Rings finally return to Joliet. Now, Double J, you were not around for the Pro Wrestling Blitz Day. I mean, you were alive, so you weren't like, it's not like you weren't around in that way. Yeah, you were alive.
Allegedly.
But you are experiencing this group for the first time. What are your thoughts on the Three Rings?
I mean, I definitely, first seeing them back at the beginning of the year when they came out, I was like, oh, everyone seems to be really like hyped up about these guys with all like the legacy and the legend to their aura. So I was like, okay. I was very curious to see how they would live up to that, and they definitely have. I mean, the Ringmaster's on another level as their manager, and then Max Sinister and Grin and Machine all in there, and seeing them compete in different fashions is, I can see why. So I'm very excited that they are making their return to Joliet and me being able to see them for the first time, and I'm very curious and excited to see how their reign as the tag team champions is going to go and who else they are going to face should they beat the final level come September 7th.
So we also have, obviously the Idols have been nominated, trying to come back from, you said it, not me, but they did technically win some titles this year, as Joey and Roxy did win the Joey and Roxy titles back from Stephen Shelley, the VHS Express. Yes, are you acknowledging Rion, or are you?
No, I'm not. That was a question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just so we're clear, because I hate them, the two that are eligible are the tag team of Great and Cade.
All right.
No other idols. It is specifically Gray and Cade, who, by the way, haven't won shit all year.
So thank you for that clarification. I wasn't sure if it was all idols who have appeared. Okay, that makes more sense.
I ain't giving them all that. No, that ain't tag team nothing. That's a Joey and Roxy's personal shit.
Yeah, I don't believe the Joey and Roxy titles are recognized as official titles.
Gray and Cade lost a 2-on-1 handicap advantage to Johnny Nye.
And this is the clarification you can only get on a show like the Lovely Intoxicated podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Excuse me, I have all the footage from everything. 8 terabytes worth of them being shitty tag team.
But they did make their impact this year. They did make, an impact enough to be nominated. I'm not saying I agree, because I definitely still don't agree with anything.
Yeah, you know why they're on that? You want to really know why they're on that list? Because that's all the tag teams we've got.
Look at that. But
They
we
had
also
to throw them in their category because we only had 5.
But we also had the final level, the most dominant tag team in
Damn
Rocket
right.
Pro Wrestling. The guys had a shot last year in the ring. And then
And
they
some
became
cookies.
and cookies. They did have cookies when they won. And they became the most cohesive unit, the most dominant unit in all of the, I would argue, the Chicagoland indie scene.
So dominant that even if they weren't there as a team because one of them had something to do, they still retained.
Damn right they did. Damn right they did, sir. But let's talk about, we've talked about some matches, so let's talk about some more matches. Match of the year. So, gentlemen, on what I realized as I was looking through these nominations was there's one match in particular that I noticed that picked my attention. And it's one that I hold a real near and dear to my heart. Because, yeah, boy, as you see in my name, Modi nominated top fan right here for the match that I had with C-Red, Damien, not Flash, C-Red, and Johnny Nye versus the Idols. Nominated for match of the year. We also have Eric Dillinger in it versus Aaron Stone. We have Shaq Jordan versus Aaron Stone. We have the Three Rings versus Youth Gone Wild versus the final level at Kicks on 66. We had Connor Hopkins versus Santino and Chet's favorite wrestler, Nick Diamond versus Quinn Whittick. And we had Devin August versus Eric Schultz versus Gunnar Brave in the Rocket to the Top ladder match. So, gentlemen, to quote the WWE champion, so what do you guys want to talk about?
I don't think you can say that after we already know what we're talking about.
What are we talking about?
Match of the season.
Oh, yeah. So what do you guys think of match of the season?
Well, to me, it's not about the wrestling. It's which match was more entertaining. So, that being said, and I can speak from experience with this. When your match might not be the best wrestling match on the show, but when you go back and watch the footage, when that 1, 2, 3 hits and the crowd pops more for that match than they did any other 1, 2, 3 that night. I can say that from Kicks on 66. I watched, I edited, I triple watched every match because I had to. My match got the biggest reaction on the 1, 2, 3 because there was a story behind it, because they found it, the fans found it the most entertaining. Might not have been the best one, but they found that one to be the most entertaining and the one that they could get behind the most. So, that being said, out of all of these matches, the only one where fans were up out of their seats cheering at the drop of the 1, 2, 3 was the Fabulous Idols versus LIM. And that is what is most important. It's which ones do the fans enjoy more. Not about which one was the best technical match, which one, sometimes those are the same match. But in this case, I watched all the footage. I think my match and your match were they were tied for how many people were up with their hands like this when the 3 count hit and the amount of loud cheering. So for me, and it's not biased whatsoever, it is based on that simple fact of which one was more entertaining to the crowd, which one were they more into. The LIM versus the Fabulous Idols should win without a doubt because it was the one that got the biggest response out of any of the other ones nominated.
Double J, your thoughts on this category?
I think Maximus made a very strong case for the LIM versus the Fabulous Idols match. The one that I felt had great wrestling and entertainment was the Three Rings versus Youth Gone Mild and final level at Kicks on 66. I mean, freaking Boba Fett showed up. All right. And there was a grenade that went off in the arena and everyone made it
Thermal
out.
detonator.
I'm apologize. I got so excited I stumble over my words a little bit because I'm just reliving it in my head and it's so goddamn entertaining. And I think, that is also that strong contender, as well as like if you're looking for another entertaining wrestling match, the Eric Dillinger and Aaron Stone at Cupid's Carnage. They were going back and forth. It wasn't even like a technical wrestling match. It was just an entertaining brawl between two heavy hitters in the Midwest independent scene. Then we have, Connor Hopkins, Dick Diamond, and Quinn Whittick at Harvest Havoc was extremely entertaining. Also seeing Santino cry every time Nick Diamond put off an offensive maneuver. I was entertained by that. I thought, that was entertaining, and we got to see some really great wrestling. And anytime Maximus costs Eric Schultz anything, that's just fun for me too. So that's why it's a great list for the fans to have a hard choice as to pick for the match of the season. But that's what you get at Rocket Pro Wrestling is moment after moment at every show. You leave with memories, you come back making new ones.
And I'm not gonna talk as Top Fan. I'm not gonna talk as PX here. I'm gonna talk as Pat.
Rick.
When I
You just killed his seriousness right there.
So
that must stay in.
that is staying in.
I knew Patrick would enjoy that.
It popped me, I'm not gonna lie. But
no, his name is Patrick.
No, this is Patrick.
My name is not Rick.
Okay. So when I was looking through the nominees for all of the categories, and when I saw that the match that I had, the match that may very well be my one and only time stepping foot as a competitor in a wrestling ring, where I got to share that ring with a legend of this area in C-Red, with an amazing talent like Johnny Nye. And I will give the Idols their due. While I disagree with them on many a thing, you cannot deny that they bring a lot to any wrestling promotions that they work with. They make it so much fun to hate them. The fact that that match was nominated was incredibly humbling to me. And to any fans that nominated that match, sincerely from Pat Ackerman himself, thank you for nominating me. But as far as what I felt to be the best match of the year on all of these, I think the match between Quinn, Nick, and Connor definitely stole Harvest Havoc. I mean, incredibly competitive match with three of the best independent talents on this scene, all fighting for the Outer Limits Championship. It's, you got Quinn Whittick, former Rocket Pro Wrestling champion, with something to prove. You got Connor Hopkins in the midst of everything going on with the Coyotes. You got Nick Diamond, Karen herself, who is just incredibly talented and should be seen in so many other places. Incredibly underrated talent, in my opinion. And to see all three of those men in that ring together doing the thing, as Rion would say, in wrestling and fighting each other and beating each other up, to me, watching that back, because I should say I was kidnapped by the Idols at that point, so I didn't get a chance to see the whole match, but I did watch it later on YouTube to make sure that I stayed caught up with things. So, but that match really stuck out to me personally. And in my opinion, that would be a reason for some fans to vote for that match. To those who, may want to vote that match, if I entertained you, it was definitely an honor for me to have that opportunity to do so, and to do so with people I love. I mean, honestly, again, this is speaking as Patrick. See, I beat you to it, Double J.
Ackerman.
Damn it. I was very surprised. Maybe echoing Maximus a little bit. I'm not sure if I necessarily deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as some of these guys on this who could wrestle circles around me, obviously. But the fact that I've been nominated is really, really cool to me. Genuinely, really, really cool to me. So there's been some great, entertaining wrestling matches on the show. But last but not least, we have a unique feature of Rocket Pro Wrestling, in that the fan culture of Rocket Pro Wrestling is strong. The culture has allowed for multiple fan factions to come through. You've had the Rocket Boys.
Yeah.
You've had the Aaron Stoners. You have the current reigning rowdiest fan group, the LIM. And we're going to be looking to defend this in the coming year.
We also have one that has never been and will never be on the slate, and that is a Maximus Orion fan group, otherwise also known as the Maxi Pad Fan Club. It will not be on the nominee thing for that reason of its name ever, but just know that it does exist.
No write-ins?
Yeah, we're not putting that on.
I was going to vote Ralph Nader.
You can vote whatever you want. We're just not putting Maxi Pad Fan Club in there.
So let's talk about these other groups. Y'all know a lot about us, but let's talk about some of these other fan groups. We got Gunner's Gang. Gunner Braves family comes to almost every show to support their guy. They are loud, they are rowdy.
That's correct.
Then you got the Lone Coyote. You got Rob, the Lone Wolf, the Lone Coyote. That does make sense because it's not alone. Anyway, he's very, very ardently supporting the Coyotes and makes that known through his riddles and innuendos and fancy way of speaking. We got this group that supports No Coast.
Who? I'm just kidding.
White Girl Wasted.
Yeah, cool. Next.
Very loud, very passionate guy. I'm not going to take anything away from Santino. You got the Scumbag Army, the arguably one of the biggest fan groups in Rocket Pro Wrestling.
They're the real reason you can't find Ed Hardy products in stores anymore. They continue to buy them out.
And then you have a group that has been our rival the whole year.
Can we really call them a group? It's usually just one person.
Well,
they say they keep building and having more people. I have yet to see more than just like 3 of them.
I think imaginary friends have been recognized as official people in...
When the hell did we do that?
I don't know. I think you might have been taking a nap or something when that happened.
But anyway, we're talking about the Fabulous Idolizers.
Who?
The Fabulous Idolizers.
Who?
With their leader, N to the A-N-I, Nani. That's my impression of her. It's like she was there.
Gotta add more like screaming bird sounds. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Wait, say this. Do that again.
I want to
do it. You're gonna see it.
Your mic didn't pick it up because it was like breaking
too
the
loud?
sound barrier. Yeah.
Oh shit! There you go.
Sounds like a squeaky toy with dementia.
Anyway, keep talking. The keep saying the funny words about Nani. The train's going.
Who
cares?
Yeah. What to say about all these groups? They come out, they support Rocket Pro, which is the very important thing. But I would like to say that who is amongst them is the most rowdy, but I can never really hear them usually over me and Gabagool shouting things at the ring. So you can never hear anybody over us. So it's really hard to say positive things. I really want to say positive things about the rest of these fan groups, but I can usually never hear them because by me and Gabagool being way too intoxicated and just yelling stuff, it usually overpowers my ability to hear other people. So all I say is, step up. But I can always tell when the scumbag army is there because you can always follow the trail of Axe body spray to wherever they're sitting in the stands. The Axe chocolate body spray that was popular for like 5 minutes in 2006.
Dude, that was so terrible.
I know
You
you
ate
might
it?
be behind the curtain, but it reeks all around that fan section whenever
It's
they are
terrible,
present.
dude. It's so bad.
It's like a mix of Pall Mall cigarettes and Axe body spray, and that's scumbag army for you.
Maximus, your thoughts on this category?
I really don't. Okay, so you got. I'm not saying anything. The only one I'll talk real shit about is Fabulous Idolizers, because holy hell,
Who
cares?
Yeah.
So you got Lone Coyote. Love him to death. Can't really call that a group. That's literally ignoring the definition of group. Unless he has supporters following him. I don't know how that works. You got the Scumbag Army, who scare me, so I don't go over there. I'm not counting the other one that happens to be a huge fan of Nick Diamond.
Oh, you're talking about White Girl Wasted.
No, I don't know who I'm talking about. I ain't got nothing to do about that, man. So
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
I ain't got nothing to do about that, man. So and then you got that useless one that just shows up all the time and cheers for the worst people in the world. Like, I would rather them cheer for the undeniable than cheer for the idols kind of thing, but cool. And then you have our group, who literally has its own podcast. So I'm just going to leave it right there. If we're judging by size, you got to go with the Scumbag Army. If we're judging by quality, you have to go LIM. All the other ones are just kind of intertwined. I haven't seen a Fabulous Idolizer podcast. That would have like one episode, then they would forget.
I think the SEC banned them.
The SEC?
I don't...
Oh, FCC?
Whatever.
The SEC? Is that a football conference?
They can't share the same broadcast network.
Is that the same football conference that they ate that Pop-Tart while alive?
SEC.
Oh, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Whatever. I ain't got nothing to do about that, May. But listen, that's your choices. So fans, you're really choosing between the Scumbag Army and the Lovely Intoxicated Men. That's who you're really choosing between.
We don't smell like Axe body spray.
I don't care. No, we smell. Well, not all of us, but a majority of LIM smells like alcohol. So
we smell like Team Spirit.
That's old style. It's not how Team Spirit smells, because that's not how
will blow your mind
at all. So if it does, there's a problem. Anyway, what?
I don't know.
Anyway, go ahead, Maximus.
I would really hope that a high school locker room would not smell like old style. I'm really hoping that the coaches would find that first time they walk in there. Okay. But with you guys, it just smells like a fucking failed AA meeting. Is what that smells like over by LIM. Anyway,
that's because we're not anonymous.
We're pretty, except for Sim. We don't know who he really is.
Well, exactly. So there you go.
Basically, like the A team.
I love it. Wait. So does that make Tony Gabagool Mr. T?
No, I'm Mr. T.
So do you pity the fool?
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
So who does that make me? What does that make me in the A team?
You can be Mr. Robinson from Saturday Night Live, Eddie Murphy. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I don't think
you sound just like him.
I think we're talking about two different shows, my friend.
I don't care. I don't care. Fucking Mr. T was on Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood, so I don't want to hear it.
He knocked on the door.
Right.
Who is it?
Who is it?
I love that sketch. That's the best sketch. Rowdy's fan group. I gotta talk about this. Top fans gotta talk about this.
No.
So
I want Rick again.
Well, top fans gotta do the
That
thing.
took me a second.
So we got White Girl Wasted, somebody
Yep.
who's been going to Rocket Pro pretty much since Rocket Pro opened.
That's true.
I think the longest, technically the longest fan group that's existed at Rocket Pro.
Well, the fan group hasn't existed, but yeah.
You have the Scumbag Army, who anytime they are there, they make their voices heard.
Very true.
They sit behind us. It's hard not to hear them. You
They're
have
always just following our shadow is what it is.
you have the Lone Coyote, who's really put himself out there over the past year, trying different things to promote the Coyotes and promote his wrestling fandom as a whole. You have Gunner's Gang, who are the most passionate supporters of Gunner Brave, the ones who love him very much. And you have the Fabulous Idolizers. And here's the one thing I'm going to say about the Idolizers. And I'm going to, this is directly to Nani.
Oh?
So I remember when we were talking some smack at Fan Access last year about the idols. And I just remember this very crazy woman started yelling at us for it and announced her intention to create the Fabulous Idolizers. Coined the name, everything that day. All on the spot. Had no idea what the hell was going on. I was just going with it. And then I've gotten to know the Idolizers over the past year. I've gotten to know Nani over the past year. And I see the stuff that she posts online. I see the stuff that, she's passionate about with Top Rope plushies. We see the interactions that she's able to have with a lot of people, which I have to give her this. Her engagement online at times goes over us. Because if you look at some of the comment threads on some of her posts on the Rocket Pro Wrestling fan group, I mean, people are going back and forth with her. And above all, they're all talking about Rocket Pro Wrestling. She's become a valuable member of the Rocket Pro family. She's like a little sister to me. I can be honest. There you go. I slipped back into being Patrick Ackerman again. See, I got both names. Double J.
Junior.
I'm not a junior, actually.
No, you're a junior.
Nope, I am not. Ask
Yes,
Pa
you
X. Ask Pa
I ain't got
X.
nothing to do about that, man.
But
if I asked Pa X, he would agree.
But no, he wouldn't, because he would tell you straight up. Here's what he would say. He would say that he was too poor to have a middle name, and I'm the one that has the middle name. That is what I've heard my whole life.
That's cool. Anyway, fan groups.
Yes, LIM.
Shout out to Pa
We're
X.
also nominated. This is our second nomination in this category for the Nova Awards. Let's talk about our year. We've had members in matches. We've created vlogs. We've continued to build our podcast. We're making a movie. We're doing a story leading up to the movie. We're doing all of these things, all in the name to promote Rocket Pro Wrestling. And we've had a lot of awesome opportunities because of Rocket Pro. We've had a lot of fun because of Rocket Pro. We're still doing what we're doing here in the LIM because we love Rocket Pro. We love all the great things we get to do. We also want to entertain you, the fans, in the process. And we hope we've entertained you in the process throughout this season, whether it be in the ring or in the vlog or in the podcast, or when you see the movie Labor Day weekend. We're going to keep this ball rolling here in the LIM, keep the good times rolling. And when all is said and done on September 7th, there will be, and I guarantee this, there will be a second Nova Award for the LIM for Rowdy's fan group. And we're going to make sure of that. I mean, shit, we even knew Josh to try to win this award. Do you know how hard it was to get that plutonium?
It wasn't easy.
It was not easy.
I've been doing the financials for LIM this past year, taxes and all that. And I got the final tally for how many beers we drank at Rocket Pro shows this year. Based on all the bar tavern rates, we drank exactly 8,008 beers. That's 8,008 beers.
So let's do the math. So 3,000. So 8,008 times 3. $24,024 worth of beer.
Next year, we're going to go for 80,085 beers. So that's 8,085.
Bunch of drunk asses.
But you know what? Kind of like it would look like this on the calculator. But if you do it this way, it's
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Though if we start to feel it's getting to be too much, let me propose a number that I think would be sufficient.
That's right, P-Trap.
Anyway, I hate to break up this meeting of the LIM chapter of the Campfire Girls, chapter of the Campfire Girls at St. Joe's Park, but we got to end this podcast. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been your guide to Nova Awards voting. And if you're looking to vote for the Nova Awards, in our video description, we will have the link that you will need in order to vote for the Novas. You're also going to need a valid Google account, and you'll need to log into it to make sure that your vote is able to be counted. So there is a sign-in that you're going to have to do as you're voting. You're going to vote on these categories. You're going to get a nice little message that says, "Thanks so much for voting." I'm paraphrasing. And then on September 7th at St. Joe's Park from 2 to 4, right before Fall Brawl, you'll get to see the Novas presented to the winners. Now, Maximus, I don't know if you know this yet, but is there a host this year for the Nova Awards?
There is not. We are still figuring that out. Based on who we're gonna have there for talent wise and everything, because we want to make it. We're not decided if there's going to be a host or if we're going to do it Slammy Awards style and have a different person do each category and hand the award and say the nominations, kind of like they did it on WWE at the Slammies. So we could have like one of our really funny wrestlers go up there, or not one of our. We don't have that category this year, but yeah, we do have funniest moment, don't we? Yeah, we do. So you'd have one of our more funny wrestlers that is not involved in one of those categories go up there and read off the nominees and then present the award to the winner. So something along those lines, I think, is where the way we may go with it.
Very good.
There you go.
All right. So you'll go there September 7th to see the Nova Awards and see who wins. When does voting end, Maximus Orion?
Voting will end around the 2nd or 3rd week of August.
So you'll have a lot of time to vote.
You got plenty of more time to vote. Yeah.
And by the time we release this episode on Sunday, you'll have a little less time, but you still have enough time. Plenty. And that's what it's all about, the hokey pokey. And with all of that being said, this concludes this broadcast day. And as always, I am the top fan, the LIM champion, the top fan who has the belt upside down like the great Khali. PX, that is my name. And we also want to thank Double J, Steve Michaels, Maximus Orion, and Mr. Tony Gabagool and his bald ass for showing up. And this concludes the show. And as we always say, stay lovely, stay intoxicated.